welcome back to Basketball Talk for Week 6 of our NBA recap show. As always, we will be running through this week's proceedings, covering games in focus for each day. We will then review the weekly form table, followed by the overall NBA conference standings. We will then look at news around the league and finish with our player and rookie of the week. I'll kick us off with the 27th, Scott. The Brooklyn Nets picked up a home win, moving to 10-11. Game finishes 111-97 to the Nets. Jeremy Grant led the way for Portland with 29 points, and KD secured the win for Brooklyn with a solid 31 points. The Warriors took the water to the Timberwolves and picked up a massive away win, given their performance on the road this season. Warriors win 137 to the Wolves 114. Golden State shot 57.5% from the field, opposed to Minnesota's 43%. They also out-rebounded them by 16. Scott, given their poor performance away, it's a big win.
Yeah, definitely for the Golden State Warriors. They want to pick up a few more wins. They want to make sure that they're not just getting a few games at home under the belt. So a big win, and obviously if you're shooting 57% from the field, you're giving yourself the best chance to come away with the win, aren't you? So
absolutely. The Clippers get a 14-point home win against the visiting Indiana Pacers. Zubac had an amazing MVP-level performance with 31 points and 29 rebounds. Game finishes 114-100 to LA. Miami bring the heat in Atlanta. They secured a road win, winning 106-98. Bam led the way with 32 points for the Heat. Tyler Hero had a triple-double with 11 points, 10 assists and 11 rebounds.
Really good performance. I hope he can keep something like that up for the Heat, so he's another legit option for them.
The Wizards outscored Boston by 16 in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough as Boston picked up the home win to win 130-121. Celtics shot 55% from the field, 47.1 from three. Jaylen Brown led the way for the Celtics with 36 points, and Boston now moved to 16-4.
Comfortably the best record in the NBA at the moment, isn't it? They're looking like a fantastic team. And
no email, no problem. The Cavs picked up another win on the road against the struggling Pistons. Cavs win 102-94. Mitchell and Garland continue their great play together as they combine for 51 points. The Sixers get a giant 30-point win on the road against the struggling Orlando Magic, even with Harden and Embiid missing from the games. Shake Milton led Philly with 29 points, 7 assists and 5 rebounds. They also shot 64.9% from the field and made 40% of the threes.
They've bullied them really, haven't they? And Shake Milton's had a really good little 4 or 5 week period since Harden's been injured. He's stepped up. I think he's averaging about 21 points, 5 assists in that span. So
great team performance. And I know it's the Orlando Magic, but to win by 30 on the road.
Oh, yeah.
It shows a great team performance, given that, you're missing your key players.
These are the types of games, we've spoken about in some previous episodes where you go into a game and go, we should probably win that. Even though they're not playing with Embiid and Harden, Philadelphia have title aspirations. You need to go and put teams to the sword, so they've done the right thing.
Dallas lose again on the road. The Bucks outscored them by 3 of the fourth quarters in this game to secure a 9-point lead. The game finishes 124-115 to the Bucks. Mavs now fall to 1-7 on the road. Scott, at the time of this game, the Mavs now move to 9-10. I think it's crucial that they start winning some away games, given the record.
I would agree. It's about bloody time we did something at this game. I think I joked about the last episode saying that Giannis would probably come in and dominate us and drop 40 on our heads. I think he had about 35 in this particular game. But you're right, we haven't played well away from home.
Well, it shows, doesn't it? Because only one of your wins has come on the road.
Yeah.
If you can turn some of them simple losses on the road to wins, the Mavs would be comfortably.
It's a big if at the minute, unfortunately. I think it's just we're not playing well away from home. If we could just cancel all of our away games for the rest of the season, I'd be alright with that, to be honest, because we've not played terrible.
I think there's another away loss coming down that I've made notes on as well, but it doesn't improve soon, I don't think.
Oh, God!
Game and focus this week, we're going to cover the Knicks vs Grizzlies. For this game, Scott, it started off close in the first quarter, not much separating both teams. Memphis hit one more free than the Knicks in this quarter, but then the Knicks ended the quarter with a 1-point lead. It was pretty back and forth. Second quarter, it was a close one as well. However, the Grizzlies started to make the difference with the threes in this quarter. They made 4 more to New York's 1. This gives them a 2-point lead going into halftime. The second half is where things started to heat up. Both teams started scoring. Knicks started to make more threes to try and keep up with Memphis, who scored 39 points in this quarter. Going into the fourth quarter, there's a 10-point lead for the Grizzlies now, but the Knicks aren't giving away easy. The game goes right to the wire, Scott, as Barrett makes a layup with 59.4 left in the game to bring the game within 1 point. Brooks then fouls out for the Grizzlies, putting Bronson at the line. He hits both free throws. This then puts them up by 1 point. The game is now 123 to 120 to the Knicks with 26.3 seconds left.
Yeah.
The very next play, Ja Morant gets blocked in the air, but then manages to get it back and lay it off the glass. Put them up by 1 with 13.9 remaining.
Mm-hmm.
Then with 6 seconds left, Brunson misses the runner, which would have put them up by 1. Jackson goes on to make 2 free throws to finish the game. The game finishes 127 to 123. It was a back and forth game overall, an entertaining one.
So yeah, it's a good sign from the Knicks because they haven't really been playing too great as of late. They've slipped a little bit, and it's looking a little bit like not the best basketball in New York, but they've been able to keep up with the Grizzlies there. Brunson's had 30 points, 9 assists, along with 5 rebounds. Randall's had 14, 9 and 10, and Barrett as well, one of his better games at 22 points and 7. So, across the board, they've got some production, but it does look as though the Memphis Grizzlies have done what they're meant to here, and that's finished the game out, isn't it?
They have. Ja Morant had 27 points with 14 assists and 10 rebounds, tremendous triple-double. Steven Adams, again, just a solid performance with 16 points and 10 rebounds. The stats were close throughout this game. Memphis shot 48.4% from the field and 37.5% from free, whilst New York shot 50% from the field and 33% from the free. So they're pretty close in all. And it was a good back and forth game, but basically Memphis managed to eke out the win. I think you could argue he probably could have done it in a better fashion, but
they've done what they're meant to, though. It's a game where they go in, they'll be looking at, we should be taking that game. So fair play to them, they picked up the win. Taking a look at the 28th of November, this had 10 total games played in the NBA. We saw the Atlanta Hawks take on the Philadelphia 76ers, and the 76ers managed to get a win, despite the fact that the Hawks shot the ball a fair bit better. They shot 50% from the field and 44% from the three-point line. But the 76ers, they had Joel Embiid put up 30 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals and 2 blocks. And as we've kind of alluded to already with Shake Milton, another game where he played brilliant with 21 points, 7 assists and 5 rebounds. So a good win for the Sixers. The Washington Wizards hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we saw Kristaps Porzingis put up a career night with 41 points, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 assists and 2 steals. The Timberwolves had some good production from Anthony Edwards, 29 points and 8 rebounds. With Porzingis this year in Washington, do you feel like he's finding his way a little bit more?
Definitely finding his way more. I think Dallas are wishing he kept him at this point, but that's it's just hindsight, isn't it? It doesn't mean he would have done the same thing at
No,
Dallas,
definitely
so
not. Definitely
not. Can't look at it that way. I seen a picture the other day, and I'm really going off topic, but it was like 3 players. Obviously, Dallas have traded Brunson, Porzingis, and I forget who the third one was, but basically saying Luka had help, implying that
Oh, okay.
Not to take the focus off this game. Porzingis is playing well. He's doing really well for Washington. Proven to be a pivotal second man to Beal.
I think at the minute they've got almost like a little bit of a big three going on, really. Beal, Kuzma, Porzingis. Whether this is going to translate to them making a deep playoff run, but that we'll only know in time. But at the minute, the three of them are gelling well. At the time of this game, it moved into 11 and 10. So I think the Wizards are a little bit of a surprise this season so far. Moving on to the Lakers and the Pacers. This was a really close game in the end, but the Lakers will be frustrated because they had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter and they ended up blowing it. This resulted in Nembhard hitting a three-pointer at the buzzer over LeBron James to win it for the Pacers. If you're a rookie, he's just lived out every basketball fan's dream. Who doesn't dream of hitting a buzzer beater game winner? And he's done it as a rookie. So congratulations to him. A really good game for him as well, with 12 points, 4 rebounds and 2 blocks. But we also saw Halliburton with 24 points, 14 assists and 0 turnovers. In terms of point guard play, you really can't ask for much more. And for the LA Lakers, Anthony Davis put up some great numbers again with 25 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists and 4 blocks. Pacers, that I know we've talked a few times about them being a surprise, but they're an interesting one to watch at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, they can put a few wins together. They're 12 and 8. It's a good overall record for the Pacers.
The Brooklyn Nets continued their winning ways against the Orlando Magic, but that really isn't a surprise. The Magic are losing pretty much every game at the moment. It was a comfortable win in the end. Kevin Durant with 45 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 19 of 24 from the field. Ridiculous numbers from Kevin Durant. He's really showing just how good he is and how valuable he is to the Nets. The Cavaliers visited Toronto to take on the Raptors. The Toronto Raptors made it look like a pretty easy game. Cavs were shooting really poorly, 38% from the field, 18% from 3. it's not going to get much done for you, unfortunately. And for the Raptors, Siakam had a good game with 18 points, 11 rebounds and 5 assists. This was his return from injury. I'm thinking the Raptors are going to be made up to have him back. He's easily their best player. So
he will do that. 11-9, and I think with him healthy, you can chalk up a few more wins comfortably with him, particularly with some of the easier teams. Toronto probably going to fall mid-table somewhere again, similar to last season.
We take a look at the Pelicans and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Both teams shot over 90% from the free throw line. I don't think you see that too often, to be honest. Very rare that teams both do that in the same game. But the Thunder had a big production from Gilgeous-Alexander. At the minute, it doesn't feel too surprising when he's putting up 30 points. It's very much becoming the norm for him now. But Zion Williamson on the other side for the Pelicans, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Williamson at the moment, not just because of the production, but he's staying fit, he's staying healthy, he's available, he's playing games for them, so I think it's really good to see if you're a Pelicans fan. The Nuggets then hosted the Houston Rockets and they absolutely pummeled them to death. They had a massive advantage in the paint, 62 points to 42 points, and they also won the rebound battle, 43 to 37, with Jokic putting up 32 points, 12 rebounds and 8 assists. He got some support from Jamal Murray, 31 points and 5 assists as well. The Rockets at the minute, a bit like the Orlando Magic, not expecting too much from them, but the Nuggets really did make it easy work of them in this particular game. The Super Jazz, unfortunately, not looking too super at the moment, particularly against the Chicago Bulls. It was a 114-107 victory for Chicago. The Bulls shot 20 more free throws than the Utah Jazz. It was absolutely ridiculous. They just seem to be getting to the foul line so easy. And DeRozan and Zach LaVine ended up combining for 46 points, and Larry Markkinen did his bit for the Utah Jazz with 32 points. I do feel that you and I jinx people. Maybe, I take that back. I feel I jinx people or jinx teams. I've been banging on about the Jazz and they've had a pretty bad couple of weeks, so sorry about that, Utah. My fault. The Phoenix Suns burnt the Sacramento Kings 122-117. It was a game in which both teams shot 50% from the field, but ultimately the big talking point here was Devin Booker going for 44 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists and 6 steals, and a nice production as well from DeAndre Ayton with 17 points and 12 rebounds. The Kings, they did get some good production. Herter put up 18 points. Malik Monk had 30 points off the bench as well. As much as I have been ragging on the Kings, they're actually playing really good basketball, and I think this game was a lot closer than people thought. So, again, this is showing for me a big improvement from the Kings. They're hanging around with the teams at the top of the league, even when they haven't played terrible here. This has just been Phoenix, played a little bit better, and they had Devin Booker essentially. So, but yeah, Kings played well, but you're not liking that being today, unfortunately. The game in focus for this particular evening was the Charlotte Hornets. I'll use the term playing the Boston Celtics loosely. I don't really think it was a fair game, to be honest. Boston pretty much destroyed them. So they started the first quarter massively efficient. It was a 3 from Griffin. Tatum had some points in the paint and also gave the team a 19-10 lead. So even in the first part of the first quarter, we're already seeing Boston get out to a 9-point lead. So that's a bit of a hint of what's to come, really. It felt like the Hornets really couldn't handle the ball movement. The Celtics were just trying to find the open guy. The Celtics at 10 threes in the first quarter, so 45-19 after the first quarter for the Celtics. Do you reckon the Hornets should have just packed it in here?
Yeah, at that point I probably would have shut up.
Yeah, I'd be like, Mike, can we do something else? Can we not play this game? We'll give this a miss, I think. Moving on to the second quarter, the Hornets started the quarter a little bit better. They got a good block which led to a transition 3. Blake Griffin rose like a salmon for an alley-oop dunk. Oh me, oh my! The good old days of Blake Griffin. That was pretty fun to see for the Celtics.
That was a good play up there.
It was really good to see him get up for a dunk, to be honest. I haven't seen it for a while. The Hornets did get some easy looks off offensive rebounds, but Blake Griffin got up for another dunk. The Celtics were leading at half, 78-55. So the game really just felt like it was a little bit too easy for Boston. In the third quarter, they came out on a massively quick run with White, Smart and Tatum all shooting the ball really effectively, and simply it looked like the Hornets just had no answer for them defensively. So the Hornets were shooting the ball at 48% for the game, but essentially the Celtics were still just too hot for them in this game. Celtics did take the foot off the gas, so to speak, in the fourth quarter, but at one point, you're going into the fourth quarter with like a 39-point lead. You can probably afford to put in some of your bench guys.
Hornets.
Exactly.
I don't like the Charlotte Hornets.
No, you can.
If it was up to me, I'd try and beat them by 60.
Well, at the end of the day, you're not quite.
Make sure they never come out to Charlotte again. You refuse to just go on the road.
You've not quite beaten them by 60, but you beat them by 35. So the fourth quarter was a little bit more in Charlotte's favour, but it's worth noting that the Celtics kind of subbed in the role players at this point, some of the guys that don't see lots of time. So, but ultimately, it was an absolutely smothering game from the Celtics.
Put Lucky in the floor cleaner to give them a chance.
Pretty much, give it a go. Let's see if you just want to tot up some points, but. Yeah, the Celtics game. I know that you as a Celtics fan will be happy with this one.
Yeah, the Celtics shot the ball fantastically. They were 59% from the field, 46% from free, and 85% from the foul line. So it's tremendous, and it's tremendous to see it with the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
Celtics hit 13 more frees than the Hornets, which they should because it's the Hornets.
Oh!
Celtics moved the ball better, led in assist to 40-28. Although, you know, for the Hornets, he had McDaniels had 24 points, Aubrey Jr. 22, 5 and 3 with 2 steals. For the Celtics, obviously we had Tatum with another 35-point game, which he's been doing comfortably at the moment. He also had 3 rebounds, 3 assists and 2 steals. Marcus Smart had 22 points, 15 assists, 2 steals, phenomenal. Brogdon off the bench had 21 points, 6 assists and 5 rebounds. So yeah, good contributions overall. Really happy with Brogdon. He's having a good game.
Yeah, getting some time off the bench.
Yeah,
I think
he can be a really good bench player. You've still got Gallinari and stuff to return. No problem. Yeah, I'm really happy with the Celtics. How they're playing at the minute. I'm shutting up because I don't want to jinx a thing. But yeah, I'm really surprised as well because I thought the injury of Gallinari and obviously the coaching situation, there was that bit of unknown, wasn't there? So obviously they had the Jaylen Brown thing as well, where he was like looked a bit unhappy with the trade rumours and so forth. So now I am really happy with the Boston Celtics. Great game to watch. I might just watch it on a day where I'm feeling down. So I just pummel the Charlotte Hornets.
We've used the phrase already, haven't we, about beating the teams you're meant to. There's no reason the Boston Celtics shouldn't be beating the Hornets. They've done what they've meant to. Great team performance, and they've absolutely put them to the sword. So great game for Boston.
So to kick things off for the 29th of November, there was only 3 games played. Last time we looked at the Knicks, they lost a close home game against Memphis, but here they went on the road and ran over the Pistons with a solid away win, winning by 30 points. Game finishes 140-110 to the Knicks. Randle led the Knicks with 36 points, 5 assists and 7 rebounds. Brunson and Barrett and Grimes all went for 16 points. The Knicks outshot the Pistons 12.4% from free, Scott. Very good display from the Knicks.
They feel at the minute they're a win a game, lose a game team. They're just there's so much inconsistency. So
I still don't feel like Brunson is the main player though.
He probably isn't.
Because I feel like when a lot of the times when the Knicks win and get over that hump in a game, it's often someone else who's.
I think he is definitely like the main option to an extent, but I think. To me, what lends more to the Knicks playing well is when Randle has a good game. I feel like Brunson could still put up 30, but if Randle isn't chipping in and helping, I feel like they don't see as much. Whereas here, this is a game, as you said, he's had like 36 points, that type of thing. I think he can command some double teams sometimes because he is pretty good offensively. So, yeah, good game for the Knicks, but I could see them, winning one, losing one, all that for the rest of the season. So.
Secondly, the Clippers get an away win, winning by 6 out in Portland. It was widely close until the fourth, where Norman Powell scored 22 of his 32 points to secure the win for LA.
Oh, wow.
Zubac had another solid contribution with 12 points and 13 rebounds. Scott, the Clippers look to have a good core of players who are stepping up during these time of injuries for the Clippers. So you've got Mann, Jackson, Zubac, Powell, Covington also had 15 in this game.
I think they'd love to have the starters back, wouldn't they, with George and Leonard? But for now, yeah, if you've got a nice little core group of players that can step up for a few weeks, it's brilliant to see. Zubac, was it earlier in the week that he had the 29 rebounds, wasn't it? We've already talked about that, and he's had 13 rebounds again. I'm sure he's probably totaled God knows how many rebounds this week, so he's been playing brilliantly. And yeah, if they can get the
but to be 13 and 9, given the injuries he've had and the inconsistency of introducing John Wall, because John Wall's played brilliantly at times, but it's still getting him used to full health.
Yeah.
So, but no, good for the Clippers, and they're not doing so bad given the injuries that they've got.
Definitely not. They're outperforming where I thought they would be. If you'd have told me that Kawhi was going to miss 20 of the first 23 games or whatever it is, I wouldn't have thought they'd be 13 and 9. So.
For the game of focus on the 29th of November, I've picked the Mavericks playing the Warriors to give Scott some happy memories. They're going to get a win. Dallas got the home win against the Golden State Warriors, 116-113. The new signing Kemba Walker was in attendance for Dallas, but obviously didn't play. So Scott, Dallas started off quick. In this quarter, they had a 12-point lead over the Warriors.
That's good to see.
They made 6 threes to Golden State's 2 in the first quarter. Steph hits a big 3 in the second to cut the lead down to 2 for Dallas with 3 minutes left in the quarter. Golden State did pull it back here as Dallas's lead dwindled to just 1 point going into the second half. Kicking it off in the third quarter, Luka hit a great step back three to give Dallas a 7-point lead. Steph hits a big three and is fouled on that play with 6 minutes remaining. He would go on to make the free throw, cutting the Mavs lead down to 4. Jordan Poole can't seem to get a break this season as he gets punched by his own teammates in the preseason, and now Dinwiddie cracks him with a solid elbow to drop him like a sack of potatoes. Dinwiddie leaves the game, but he did help Dallas along the way as he had 14 points, 2 assists and 2 steals. Just a 2-point difference in a close fourth quarter. Kuminga tied the game with basically 10 minutes left. It was 96-96. Golden State then scores a quick 4 points to put them back up by 4. 9 minutes 46 left, Scott. So literally in 15 seconds, they've put 4 points up against Dallas. It just shows how quickly this game was turning around.
That can happen in basketball.
This game then swings the other way with 3 minutes 8 seconds left as Luka makes a long 2 to put them up by 4. Then with 1 minute left, Luka hit a mid-range jumper to put them up by 3. Golden State miss a few shots in the closing minutes against Dallas, and they get the win.
Yes!
So, you knocked out Jordan Poole for the second time this season, and you got to win.
Look, if we've got to start throwing elbows and knocking people out to get a win, I don't give a damn. As long as it results in a W for the Mavericks, I'm fine with it. So, as for Luka, he went for 41 points, 12 assists and 10 rebounds.
Bloody tremendous triple-double.
Can't argue with it at the moment. I think I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in triple-doubles this season anyway. Hardaway Jr. had 22 points. It's nice to see him putting up some good numbers for a change instead of going 1 for 6, which he has been doing. Steph led the way for Golden State with 32 points, 5 rebounds and 5 assists. So I'm just really bloody happy that we won a game. I'll take it.
No, but it wasn't a great game from three for either team, as Golden State only made 25.6% from three. Not what you'd expect from Golden State.
Definitely not. With the shooters they've got with Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, they'll be expecting to be shooting the ball better. This is just a game where they were cold, isn't it, really? And we capitalised on it. But, hey, look, when you're not winning the games, you got to take them where they come. So let's go, Mavs. Moving on to the 30th of November, we saw 13 games played in the NBA. 76ers travelled out to Cleveland, but the Cleveland Cavaliers came away with the win, 113-85. The Cavs shot the ball amazingly. They shot 60% from the field and 51% from 3. Garland put up as usual 21 points, 9 assists, and we saw LeVert help with 22 points.
Really enjoying their backcourt.
Yeah, the backcourt so far is playing really well. Really good to see for Cleveland, because they've had a few years where they haven't had too much success, so it's good to see them getting back into the ways. The Orlando Magic continued their losing streak when they hosted the Atlanta Hawks. 125-108 to the Atlanta Hawks. Pretty much a comfortable win, as you'd expect, really, here. The Hawks out-rebounded them. They also got significantly more points in the paint, and you had Trae Young and Dejounte Murray combining for 57 points. Brilliant performance from their backcourts. It might be interesting one day to almost look at all the backcourts in the NBA, because I feel like we've got maybe 3 or 4 where you could really make a case for who's really the best at the minute.
Them,
yeah, so that'd be maybe an interesting one to look at.
It'd be interesting to look at that and make a prediction of which one goes further.
Yeah, which one's going to carry the team further, yeah. The Boston Celtics continued their winning ways with a 134-121 win over the Miami Heat. Both teams shot the ball fantastically well from the field, from three-point range and from the free throw line. Adebayo was the standout performer really for the Heat with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists and 2 steals. But Jason Tatum, 49 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. One hell of a stat line from Jason Tatum. Arguably, I think we're not talking too much about MVP races and stuff, but I think he has to be top of the tree at the moment.
I think he is at the moment. I think him and Giannis to me.
The Brooklyn Nets made easy work of the Washington Wizards when they beat them 113-107, a game in which Porzingis had 27 points, 19 rebounds and 2 blocks. We've kind of covered a little bit of Porzingis earlier on when he played earlier in the week and things. This might be the best week of his career if we were just looking at it in terms of just, output for 1 week. But Kevin Durant did Kevin Durant things again, 39 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He may be the most effortless scorer in the NBA. I feel like when you watch him play, it doesn't seem to matter who's defending him. He makes it look so easy.
The way he plays the game just looks effortless. He's just a tremendous talent, very naturally gifted. And it sounds like you're doing someone's
underplaying his work.
It's not that. It's the way he plays the game looks effortless. His vision and stuff, how he plays as well, is just far above
everybody else
on the court.
Yeah.
I think that's what shows his superiority. But now he looks to be coming into form, and hopefully the Knicks start to rack up some more wins.
New York did New York things in terms of they lost one, they won one. Now they lost one again against the Milwaukee Bucks. It was 109-103 in favour of the Bucks. The Bucks were more efficient from the free throw line, and Giannis had 37 points, 13 rebounds and 7 assists, but Drew Holiday as well also putting up 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He's a stat sheet stuffer, that man. And for the New York Knicks, we saw Brunson and Randall combine for a total of 35 points, but the big performer on the night for the Knicks was Barrett.
Once again, Brunson is the third down from the scoring. You don't be third down if you don't have that much money.
Well, I agree, but I think across the board there, it's not been a particularly great game for the Knicks in general, so I'll cut them a little bit of slack here. So, Timberwolves hosted the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies actually had 30 more rebounds than the Timberwolves, but they did then turn the ball over 14 more times. So on one side of the game, they've done really well. They've out-rebounded them, but then they've given away an awful lot of opportunities as well. Morant was a standout performer for the Grizzlies with 24 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds and 2 steals. But Anthony Edwards kind of equaled it on the other side of it for the Timberwolves with 29 points, 5 assists, 5 steals, 3 blocks and 3 rebounds. So a really competitive game between a couple of Western Conference foes there. The Raptors visited the Pelicans, and the Pelicans shot the ball fantastically well, 52% from the field, 42% from 3. Williamson, 33 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. It moved the Pelicans at the time of this game to 13-8. Have they been a little bit of a surprise for you in terms of at the time of this game in regards to the record and things?
Yeah, I didn't expect them to play that well, and there's another game I come on to earlier where Zion plays brilliantly again. It's good to see. I mean, in this game he's had 33 and 10. I didn't expect that much of him, to be honest. Because I know everyone's expected load from him, but I thought of the weight issue, and obviously the issue of not really coming across like he wants to be in New Orleans.
Yeah.
He just wasn't sure what his contribution was going to be, but they're playing solid at the moment.
Brilliant basketball, and again, but they're not like really an official big three because not all three are an all-star, but if you've got Williamson, Brandon Ingram and McCollum as 3 players on your team, I think it's a nice little thing to build around, and they've got, you know, other young players as well like Herb Jones, so I think they've got a nice little core, to be honest. Oklahoma City Thunder hosted the San Antonio Spurs, and the Spurs absolutely dominated in the paint, 70 points to 56. Jalen Williams had one of his best games as a rookie with 27 points, 6 rebounds, and Josh Giddey as well, 14 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists and 2 steals. This moved the Spurs to 6-16. They're kind of slipping down the standings, aren't they? They're kind of what we expected them to be, really.
They are now, and obviously we had higher hopes for OKC, but sadly due to injuries, it doesn't look like they're going to push on as much. I think for that game, if you live in Oklahoma and you see the Spurs coming, give me tickets away tonight.
Rockets travelled out to Denver, and the Nuggets made easy work of them, 120-100. The Nuggets moved the ball far better, 30 assists to 18. And we saw Jamal Murray go for 26 points, 4 rebounds, and Aaron Gordon also put up 20 points and 6 rebounds. Jokic, a bit of a maybe less impressive game scoring-wise, but still put up 17, 12, and 9. So a comfortable win, really, in the end for the Denver Nuggets. The Phoenix Suns absolutely torched the Chicago Bulls, 132-113. This game is more memorable for Devin Booker, putting up 51 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and also getting massive contribution from DeAndre Ayton, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists and 2 blocks. It just felt like the Suns had far too much going for them, didn't they? They hit 11 more threes and shot 45% from 3. So
yeah, here it's a reoccurrence this week, but Devin Booker's just basically took over the games.
He has indeed. He has indeed. He's absolutely dominated. To me, the fact that the Phoenix Suns record is 15 at the time of recording for this game, anyway, of this game being played, 15-6 at the time of beating the Bulls. They're doing all this without Chris Paul. To me, that's the most impressive side of all of this, is that they're playing such great basketball without him.
Coming to really good form. Let's hope he maintains it.
The Super Jazz got back to winning ways when they beat the LA Clippers 125-112. Clarkson had 33 points, 5 assists and 4 rebounds, and Lauri Markkanen continued his much improved form this year with 23 points and 9 rebounds. For the Clippers, John Wall had probably one of his best games, 26 points, 5 assists, and Zubac again with 12.7 rebounds. I regret to have to report, but the Sacramento Kings did manage to pick up a win.
Kings have got another win at 11-9. I think that's still better than Dallas, isn't it?
Shut up about Dallas. The Kings did beat the Pacers 137-114. Kings had 23 more fast break points, and maturing. It was pretty good for the Pacers with 22 points, but ultimately for Sacramento, they saw 20 points from Malik Monk, 19 for De'Aaron Fox, along with 6 assists and 5 rebounds. I do like to have my fun with the Sacramento Kings, but credit where credit's due. They're playing pretty good basketball at the moment.
Just how it's fell this week, you've had to cover the Kings wins.
Yeah, I know.
The way the list has gone.
Yeah, it's not really fair. I'm going to have to start divvying out the games where it looks like Kings are going to lose and make sure I get them. So the final game we're going to cover for this particular day, obviously, is the game of focus. It was the Trailblazers facing the LA Lakers. The LA Lakers ended up getting quite a comfortable win with 128 to 109, but the first quarters, the Blazers actually got out to an early 15-6 lead on the back of some threes from Grant and some good plays in the paint as well. So the Lakers managed to get back into it with a massive block from Davis, a steal from Reeves for a dunk, and the game was tied at 17 apiece. So in terms of the opening quarter, Blazers did get a bit of an edge, but then it turned out to be much closer and finished the quarter 24-22 for the Lakers. The second quarter saw both teams were scoring with ease. The Lakers took a 35-27 lead on 2 LeBron James mid-range jumpers. The quarter in general was really close, and we saw Simons, Sharp and Grant all have really good plays at the basket for the Blazers. It felt like they were attacking the rim a little bit more. And I'm not sure if you remember, but back in 2018, LeBron had this poster dunk on Yusuf Nurkic back when LeBron was playing with the Cavs. It was almost the exact same play, but this time with him in a Lakers uniform, so he absolutely slammed it on him. It was really good to see. Westbrook also hit a 3 at the buzzer to give the Lakers a halftime lead, 66-62, and you best believe Russell Westbrook celebrated this like he'd won the MVP. In the third quarter, we saw Austin Reeves have a 3 followed up with a nice reverse layup for the Lakers. Beverly also hit a 3, which really surprised. And as much as I'm joking about Westbrook not hitting threes, Beverly really doesn't hit threes, so it was massive to see him actually put the ball in the basket for a change. It felt like the Lakers were in control of the quarter, really. Westbrook picked up a few assists, also hit another 3-point shot at the buzzer at the end of the third to give the Lakers a 97-82 lead. So I'm joking with Russ, but he's actually been playing great coming off the bench, and he had another really productive game here for the Lakers. Moving into the fourth quarter, LeBron, Reeves and Davis all had threes to keep the Lakers with a healthy lead. Shaden Sharp and Wilmslow were able to get some points for the Blazers, but ultimately it was Davis and LeBron down the stretch to secure the win for the Lakers. So
you look to have got a few wins together, the Lakers, recently.
They do indeed.
It'd be good if they can just get in a good stretch of form now, obviously, if LeBron stays healthy and stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gives them something to look forward to in LA. The Lakers hit 6 more threes than the Blazers. The Blazers had 4 more turnovers than the Lakers, which happens in any game. The Lakers also moved the ball better and had more assists than the Blazers with their 28-21. For the Blazers, Grant had 27 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds and 2 steals. Brilliant. Simons had 22 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. For the Lakers, LeBron had 31 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Davis had a brilliant game once again with 27 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks. Austin Reeves had 22 points, 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Overall, good performance for the Lakers. It's exciting if you're a purple and gold fan that you can now put some wins together.
Most definitely.
Let's see how long it lasts.
They're on a good run of form. The record might not reflect it just yet, but they've seen a really good uptick in their form. So fair play to them. You've got Westbrook coming off the bench. He's adapted to the role. LeBron looks to be back fit and healthy. Davis, to me, is in arguably some of the best stretch of his career in terms of his performances, both defensively and scoring. So it's a good time for Laker fans.
So as there was only one game played on the 1st, we're going to cover the 1st and 2nd of December together. So to kick it off, we've got the Mavs vs Pistons. Dallas go from a big win to a big loss as they improve Detroit's home record to 4-7.
Oh, Jesus!
This is also an overtime game. Detroit shouldn't be taking the Mavs to overtime, let alone beating your own overtime.
I agree.
Scott, you may be the Dallas Mavericks at home, but you're the Dallas Ponies on the road.
We are indeed. Everybody's getting a free ride.
Game finishes 131 to 125 to the Pistons. Detroit out-rebounded Dallas by 22, Scott. Bagley went for 19 points, 13 rebounds, solid performance. Bogdanovich also scored 30, and Hayes had 22 points and 8 assists.
Another loss in the Mavs away column. Sounds familiar for some reason.
At this point, you're now 10-11. As I was saying earlier, Scott, if Dallas turns some of these road losses into road wins to be in a far better position, and this looks like the perfect opportunity to do so.
It's a big if, isn't it? You could also say if I was 6'8" and really good at basketball, I'd be in the NBA, but I'm just not, and that's just not the case for the Mavs at the moment. They're not playing good on the road. We don't deserve to win, and we're getting beat by teams that are trying to lose. That's really bad, isn't it? Imagine going into a game and the team's like, hey, we fancy losing, and you're that bad that they beat you. That's crap. So, yeah, the Mavs, we need to do something.
So picking it up, the Wizards visited Charlotte. Hornets get a 1-point win after nearly throwing the game away in the fourth. Game finishes 116 to 117. In this one, Scott, Wizards come back and scored 28 in the fourth. Hornets only scored 10. They nearly gave it up, but they managed to get that win. Beal had 33 points for the Wizards. Rozier had 25 for the Hornets, going 100% from the foul line. One really the Wizards could have had.
We were talking earlier about them being a little bit of a surprise team. I think if they've got so close in that game to bring it back in the fourth, all that momentum, you'll be thinking, I wish we'd have got the win. So, yeah, tough one for the Wizards, that one.
The Heat managed to get an away win in Boston. Beating my Celtics by 4. Game finishes 120 to 116 to Miami. Bam led the way again. He's been playing brilliantly this week. He had 28 points. Jaylen Brown went for 36 for the Celtics. Brilliant performance from Jaylen Brown against Scott, but just wasn't to be.
And the audacity of you going, because we lost a game. Try being a Mavs fan.
Yeah, but we beat Heat away and then they come to Boston.
Can happen, can't it? From time
it's
to time.
just interesting, isn't it? It's obviously you're not really on that level of thinking because you're always losing. But I'm talking about big high Eastern teams here.
I wish we could win enough games where it was interesting because we lost the bloody game. It'd be interesting if we could win a game. That would be more interesting.
The Nets, they had a solid home win. Irving led the way with 27 points for Brooklyn. All of Brooklyn's starting 5 got into double digits. I think the lowest scorer was Royce O'Neal. I think he had 11 and then everyone else had more than him.
That's good to see, though. You want to see the ball move and you want it to not just be one guy all the time, so it makes your team a much more... I think
Durant had around 17 as well, if I'm correct. The stats were closer than the field goal percentage, where Brooklyn outshot them by 10%. There was 53.7% for the Brooklyn Nets, as opposed to Toronto's 43.7%. Magic has officially run out as they now move to 1-10 on the road. The Cavs pick up a home win, winning 107 to 96. Mitchell scores 34 points, while Garland has 18 points and 6 assists. Banchero had a good contribution for Orlando with 22 points, 4 assists and 5 rebounds. Scott's going to be a long season in Orlando. There's no Magic left.
A year of development, isn't it? They're trying to make sure that Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Ball, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, they just want to get these guys game time, let them improve. If I can't remember if they own all their picks, I feel like they do. If they have a bad enough season, they're going to get a big reward. So yeah, I don't expect the Magic to be doing all too much this season.
Cancel your season ticket if you're out in Orlando. But let's pick it up in somewhere interesting where the Lakers played the Bucks. Lakers fear no dear as they win 139 to 129. It was a duel of the big men as Davis had 44 points, 10 rebounds. Giannis had 40 points. 5 assists and 7 rebounds. And have you noticed the game difference was 4? Davis had 4 more points than Giannis. Wow. Giannis can't get it done, mate. Needs to be traded. I'm joking, by the way. Another good duel between teams included LeBron and Holiday. Similar stats. LeBron had 28, 11 assists and 8 rebounds. Holiday went for 28 points, 9 assists and 6 rebounds. So overall a good one to watch, Scott. A massive win for the Lakers.
Huge win for the Lakers. This is the type of game that looks... I'm not saying you're turning the corner.
This is one that really boosts morale, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the one where the fan base goes, right, we've just beaten a team that's quite clearly in contention for a title. And we're looking a little bit better. We've actually won a few games on a row, that type of thing. So yeah, this is a big one for the franchise and for the fans. So well played for the Lakers. It's a really good win.
Grizzlies got the home win against Philly, winning 117 to 109. It was a back and forth game with Morant having 28 points, 8 rebounds and 3 assists, while Embiid finished the game 35 points, 11 rebounds and 8 assists. He stays healthy there with Giannis and Jason Tatum.
I think so. It's hard to really put someone in the MVP race when they're missing a third of the games of the season, though.
I know. Well, we picked him, so I'm open.
I know he needs to.
I want to get a prediction.
He needs to stay fit. No pressure, Embiid. It's not about winning a title, but we've got some predictions on the line here, pal. So hurry up.
Everyone's wrong at the moment.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Pelicans got an 18-point victory on the road against the Spurs. You'd expect that, really. Zion had a monster game with 30 points, 15 rebounds and 8 assists. Similar to what you were saying before, Scott. Really coming into his stride, really enjoying him play. He's very entertaining.
Staying fit, he's staying healthy, and he's playing great basketball.
Rockets got a big 1-point win against the Suns.
How the hell did they do that?
As you said, Scott, the Rockets can have a great offensive game when they want to, which really frustrates me. Then they just want to just tank, 16 of the times. Basically, they probably just not even wanted to win. But today they thought, we've won. by accident. Booker had 41 points in this game, but it wasn't to be enough as he misses 2 jump shots in the closing seconds of the game, which could have took the lead for the Suns. The Super Jazz get a 20-point win against the Pacers. Game finishes 139 to 119. Markkanen finished the game with 24 points, 13 rebounds. Utah shot 55.4% and 44.1% from free.
Let's go Super Jazz.
Super Jazz are now 14 and 11. Far better than what you would have expected.
Oh, hell yeah.
Warriors picked up an 8-point home win against the visiting Chicago Bulls. Poole was splashing for threes as he made 7. He finished the game with 30 points off the bench. DeRozan scored 16 points and had 7 assists with 6 rebounds. Vucevic had 23 points and Levine had 21. Golden State are now 10 and 1 at home, Scott.
Their record is a little bit like the Mavs. That away from home, they're really not that good. They'll obviously I think you'd expect the Warriors to play better away than the Mavericks will, but they stand at 12 and 11 at the time of this game, but they're 10 and 1 at home, so it shows just how big of a difference it is when a team can't win away from home. But for the Warriors, they'll be expecting to round into form soon.
For the game in focus for today, we're going to look at the Nuggets and the Hawks. It just finished 117 to 109 to the Hawks. Got a big win for them, visiting Denver Nuggets. It was close through the first, but Hawks kept the lead with 3 points. Second quarter, they outscored Denver by 11 points, giving their lead 14 at the half.
It looks as though the Hawks were in control, doesn't it, in the first half? It looks as though they were getting some good production and making it difficult for Denver. So, yeah, going in at the half and a 14-point lead, no matter who you're playing, you'll always be happy with it.
Throughout the second half, we then did see Denver start to make a bit of a charge back. They scored 35 points to Atlanta's 30. And then in the fourth, they scored 28 to Atlanta's 27. It just wasn't to be, Scott. The first half deficit was just a bit too big to climb. We had Aaron Gordon, who had 14 points and 5 rebounds with 3 assists. He's not a bad contributor for Denver on this day. Jokic had 24 points, 9 rebounds and 8 assists. Worth noting, Trae Young didn't play in this game. And they still picked up the win.
They relied on Dejounte Murray, didn't they? I think he had 34 points and 8 assists, if I remember.
Yeah, Capella also had 12 and 11.
The Nuggets were shooting pretty good across the board, but the Atlanta Hawks were just a little bit more effective. And I think when it came to Trae Young being out, whether that naturally meant that Dejounte Murray felt more comfortable with taking over the game and having a little bit more of an offensive load, feels like he was dominating the game, really.
And just to close here, we're saying you'd expect the Nuggets to win there 14 and 8 at this point, but 13 and 10 for Atlanta, pretty similar.
There's a lot of records, I think, early on in the season that end up being pretty close together. As I said, I'm all for Denver. I really feel they've got a chance of winning it all this year. But it's a good win for the Hawks. And again, if you're trying to climb the standings, if you can go against a team which, in most people's eyes, are probably going to be a top 3. Yeah, most people kind of see Nuggets as top 3 in the West. I think the Hawks will be quite proud of that win. So the final day we're going to cover in the NBA is the 3rd of December. There was 7 games played in total. The Dallas Mavericks finally picked up a win, 121-100 over the New York Knicks, hitting 14 more 3-pointers than the Knicks. Doncic led the way with 30 points, 8 rebounds and 7 assists, and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Spencer Dinwiddie combined for 45 points. I said earlier in the week on a post on Twitter about Luka Ball not really being the way forward, and I think ultimately the team and the front office need to do a better job of putting more around Doncic, but if they can get good play like that from Dinwiddie and Hardaway Jr. on a more regular basis, I think it will definitely help the cause. The Sacramento Kings absolutely destroyed the LA Clippers.
See, you cover all the wins.
I know, and I'm not happy about it. And part of me would love to be able to say it was the other way around, but the Kings absolutely pummeled the Clippers, 123-96. Arguably one of the best games of Keegan Murray's young career, with 23 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and Sabonis as well with 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. So,
if you're the Clippers, really that's a game you've got to win.
When they're not playing Leonard and George, I feel like the team.
No, but you've just seen how they played well with the role players. You're at home.
Yeah,
you should really win that game.
But I would look.
Don't get me wrong. Sacramento are playing well as a team as well.
I would look at it as the Kings had like 90% of their players, whereas of their main players, whereas the Clippers are missing the best.
Scott, you think you can beat the Kings without your shoelaces?
That's a good point to move on.
Yeah, so the fact they went into the Clippers, you've just seen, what is it? Zubac had 29 rebounds and 30 points. Yeah, whatever. You think you can put half of that together and eke out a win against the Kings? However, the Kings are doing well.
I'm trying to give them a bit of praise.
I just wouldn't have expected them to win by that deficit.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it should have been a much closer game, but no. To give credit where the Kings, for the Kings, they've been playing well, playing good basketball, light the beam, have a little bit of fun. dream team out in Sacramento at the moment. The Milwaukee Bucks then also picked up a win against the Charlotte Hornets. This was a game in which Giannis didn't play, but the Bucks, you wouldn't have known that he was missing. They had 20 points from Bobby Portis along with 8 rebounds. Brook Lopez, 14.6 rebounds, 6 blocks and 3 assists. He's completely reinvented his game as a centre. I love what I see from him. I think he's a much more valuable asset than people like to give him credit. Even though his numbers don't always look too flashy, he's a really, really key player for the Bucks. The Raptors did their bit to make the Orlando Magic extinct by beating them 121-108. Another loss for the Orlando Magic. It doesn't seem like too much of a surprise now that Orlando aren't playing great basketball, but we saw Pascal Siakam put up 26 points and 10 rebounds, along with 3 assists. And OG Anunoby continued his great form this season with 32 points, 4 assists and 3 steals. The Magic are slipping down the standings, and it's kind of what we'd expect from them at the moment. The Golden State Warriors then put the Houston Rockets to the sword, 120-101. The Warriors hit 22 more three-pointers than the Houston Rockets. There's no way you're going to be able to stop that type of barrage if you've got a poor defence. So yeah, it was a very leaky defence. The Warriors took full control. 36 points from Wiggins, 30 points from Steph Curry. Jordan Poole also had 21. Very much just looking like they were picking and choosing who was scoring against them, really. The Super Jazz dropped a game against the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm sad to say it. I really like the Utah Jazz, but a game in which they didn't play particularly well. The Blazers slightly more efficient from the field and 3-point range, and a really huge game from Anthony Simons. 45 points, 4 assists, 2 blocks. I feel that he's knocking on the door for a potential All-Star nod this year, Anthony Simons. I'd love to see him get it, but I feel like there's maybe other guards as well there.
Who will get it over him.
Yeah, it just feels like, every year where they call it someone's been snubbed, I feel like every year there's so much competition for places in the All-Star game. I feel like he should be in it. I could see him getting left out, though, particularly with the team's record, only being just kind of like above 50% and things. But moving on to a team where they definitely have an all-star, in my opinion, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The game in focus is the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the first quarter, the Thunder got out to a good start. Some early points from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Ant Edwards was kind of answering that for the Timberwolves as well. The Thunder did build a slight lead, but the Wolves went on a 9-0 run to kind of tie the game up at 24 apiece. And in the second quarter, Rudy Gobert got ejected. I don't know if you've seen this play. He kind of he goes up and he falls down with the player. And this player's getting up and he full on just trips him up in front of the ref. So obviously everybody's shoving and pushing around and stuff like that. Referee ejects Rudy Gobert, so he's out of the game. The Wolves then allowed the Thunder to open up an 11-point lead midway through the second quarter. So was that directly because Gobert wasn't in the middle? Who knows? Edwards responded with a 3 and a layup to cut the lead down to 47-44. Pokusevski and Dort then had a few good looks in the paint, followed by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander mid-range jumper. So the Thunder go into halftime leading by 6, 63-57. In the third quarter, this felt where the Timberwolves really started to play a bit more effectively. So they got a couple of steals from D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards, get really easy looks at the basket. This resulted in the Wolves kind of flipping the script really and getting a 79-61 lead on a Reed dunk. It felt like the Wolves got more points in transition. They were forcing the Thunder into maybe more tougher shots. Ultimately, Edwards and Noel were doing a good job of getting points on the board for the Timberwolves, and they led by 4 going into the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter saw D'Angelo Russell open up the quarter with 5 quick points, but Josh Giddey and Williams responded really well, got some good looks in the paint and opened up a 9-point lead for the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander found Giddey for a corner 3, and then he had a nice up and under move to give the Thunder a 127-115 lead, and essentially the game was done at this point. So a relatively close game, but ultimately the Thunder were able to edge it out.
Yeah, it was a very close game throughout, but to be honest, I still would have thought the Timberwolves could have got the home win.
You'd be expecting it, I think so.
But, well done to the Thunder. You got a good, important away win there. It'll prove probably pivotal for them because they're going to have tough games down the stretch, obviously, with the injuries that they've got. They shot 50% from the field. Both teams shot 50% from the field. The Wolves had the slight edge in terms of fast break points. Thunder shot better from 3 with 42%. Gilgeous-Alexander had 33.6 assists and 3 steals. I think he's becoming a really good player, Scott.
When I'm talking about Simons getting on the potential for an All-Star nod, I think Gilgeous-Alexander for me is a definite. I think he has to be there.
For the Timberwolves, we had Russell with 27.6 assists, 3 rebounds. We had Edwards with 26 points, 6 steals, 4 assists and 3 rebounds. I think the thing with the Timberwolves, though, it's just that they just good team. You never really take them seriously to win anything or put a long streak of wins together. And I think it's going to be a similar thing in the playoffs again as what they had last year. They'll make the playoffs. They'll probably get bounced out. And that'll be the Wolves once again, sadly. And you wouldn't have thought that when you signed, a multiple defensive player of the year.
He can only defend if he stays on the court, though. So stupid ejections like this is just daft.
Oh, yeah. But I'm hard on about, that doesn't happen every game. But I just don't think it's really improved them.
But remember, Karl Anthony Towns is out now. He didn't play this game. He's injured. So he's likely to miss about 4 or 5 weeks. So it's going to be a bit of a test in time because if, let's say, he doesn't play in the next 15 games, for example, if they find themselves being like 3-12 or, something like that, or like 4-11, it's not going to help the record out.
Sacramento Kings are going to be above them.
The Kings are above everybody well, not everybody, but the Kings are comfortably above a lot of teams in the West. They're playing great basketball. So, but for the Timberwolves, this is a game I feel like they'll feel a little bit annoyed by losing this game, if I'm honest.
Next, we're going to look at the weekly form tables, and we'll kick it off with the Eastern Conference. Brooklyn Nets are your biggest winners this week, Scott, with 4 wins.
Yeah.
We've got the Boston Celtics, who went 3-1, just that one loss to the Miami Heat. Cleveland Cavaliers won 3-4 this week as well. They played really well.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Orlando Magic, Scott.
0-5.
0-5.
Particularly bad week. For Orlando, it feels like at the moment they're slipping down the table as we thought they would. I think we both predicted them kind of in like 13th, 14th or 15th in our preseason predictions. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're slipping a little bit and it doesn't look too promising if you're an Orlando fan, maybe not seeing the best basketball at the moment.
So the Orlando Magic's next game is against the Milwaukee Bucks.
That's a loss.
They've then got the Clippers, which is a toss-up.
I'd still say Clippers.
But then they play the Raptors again. So you could say another 3 straight losses into next. How many losses could we have them on over the course of the week?
I think they may be on it.
Then they're against the Hawks, and then the Celtics twice. I'm gonna say they might lose 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they might lose the next 7. Maybe at a push they go 1-6,
and after that they then play Atlanta again, so we might go 0-8.
Yeah. I think as well a little bit of a surprise is the Raptors going 2-2. Maybe you'd expect a little bit more from them. I think the Detroit Pistons kind of where you'd expect them.
Pistons would have went 0-3 if it wasn't for Dallas.
Oh yeah, Christ, we did them a favour, didn't we? That was very kind of us. Pacers had a bit of a 1-3, 1 win, 3 losses for the Pacers. At the start of the season, that wouldn't have surprised me. But how they
performance they've had,
it has surprised me. Like I didn't think they'd have such a poor week, but. Yeah, I think the only things that really stand out there is just the really terrible form from the Magic, really, and just how good Boston, Brooklyn, and Cleveland are still playing. They're all playing really good at the moment. So
Milwaukee Bucks had 3 wins out of 4 again, so a solid week for them. Atlanta, they're about what you'd expect, 2-2.
Yeah,
mid-table. Chicago Bulls. They're not doing great this year.
No, they're still struggling at the moment. They still can't seem to put together. I know that Lonzo Ball hasn't played a single game yet, so that's he would be their starting point guard and their best defender at kind of like the guard position, that type of stuff. But I don't know what it is. It just seems like it's not quite all there for Chicago, doesn't it? Having a quick look at the Western Conference weekly form table, the big standouts here for me are the Golden State Warriors, 3 out of 4. I think that's the type of stuff they're expecting. The New Orleans Pelicans go 3-0. They win every game this week. That's really, really good to see. Lakers also go 2-1. It's good to see them back.
Portland Trailblazers go 1-3.
This, you know what I'm saying? Anthony Simons, I feel like he should be an all-star. I feel like the team's record's going to hold him back, unfortunately. The Utah Jazz go 2-2. The San Antonio Spurs lose both of their games. Dallas somehow go 2-2, but we're a little bit looking like the Knicks at the minute. Win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. It's kind of annoying. So, anyone else that sticks out for you there?
Rockets showed in that win that they can have a good game, and to me, the Rockets look like they're doing what they did last year.
Yeah,
and just try and lose games, try and get another draft pick.
That's what they're trying to do. They're not hiding it.
Phoenix Suns, obviously, without Chris Paul, to get 2 wins with the performances from Booker and Ayton this week is tremendous. Super Jazz 2-2. I want a bit more from the Super Jazz.
Should be 4-0, mate. That's what they
San Antonio Spurs, 2 losses, as you'd expect for the Spurs. See, most teams here are playing 3 or 4. They've even cut the fixtures. They don't want to see them anymore in the NBA.
You're that bad.
Spurs are gone. He's only getting 2 games this week. Lakers, good wins for the Lakers.
LeBron's back. AD's healthy. Westbrook seems to have adjusted to his off the bench role. So really, really good performances from the Lakers at the moment. I think they're seeing a nice improvement.
So let's see how that compares to the overall standings now, and let's see how it's moved things about. Boston top of the table. Hoorah!
Sounds about right.
Phoenix are back top of the West. I didn't pick them to be the top of the West this year. I
Me
thought
neither.
Paul was going to start to age. I thought Ayton was going to probably be unhappy in Phoenix. So I'm shocked at that. You did pick Denver high up though.
Yeah, they're second at the moment. I'll
Yeah.
take that for now.
Sacramento are fifth. They're climbing. Oh God, that table. I don't know where they were last week. It would be good to know though.
I feel like they were 7th maybe last week, but they went 2-1 this week.
10th. Either above the Minnesota Timberwolves, who we've just been slating.
At the minute, we just about scraped the play-in.
The Lakers are 13th next to Houston Rockets and San Antonio Spurs, even after the big wins.
But that's my point. So the Lakers were doing that bad, but they've won 7 of the last 9. It's not risen them in the rankings much, but they are now only 3 games off 500. That's a much better position than where they were a few weeks ago.
They win 2, they're thereabouts of Dallas. So
stop mentioning Dallas.
No, I'm just saying, because Dallas are in 10th. So you could easily be around the 10th spot for the play-in, which is not what you want to see as a Lakers fan, by the way. You expect so much more. But given just the struggles with LeBron with injury, AD's been brilliant recently, but fair to say he's had his inconsistent runs. Russell Westbrook struggled to settle in. You'd probably take, if the Lakers were to make 6th or 7th this season,
that'd be
after the way they've
really
started,
good how it started.
Feel they've done brilliantly.
I think in the East, the Bulls, they're the ones that's concerning me the biggest.
Bulls are shocking me. Orlando, I didn't pick Orlando for 15th. I can't remember who I picked for 15th.
To be honest, when teams are trying to tank, predicting 13, 14, 15 is potluck. So you could really interchange anyone from Hornets.
I didn't really think Orlando were going to try and tank though, like that. I thought they were just going to try and build it around Paulo and just see where they went. Don't get me wrong, they'd still get a high draft pick. I didn't expect them to do 5-19.
At the end of the day, you can have Paolo, and that's really good. Or if you lose every game this year, you give yourself a better chance of having Victor and Paolo, and that really is something to build around.
And then they both leave.
Yeah, so that's the usual magic way, isn't it? Especially with big men. You should go to the Lakers.
The Celtics, we've touched on them. Milwaukee Bucks, they're still doing brilliantly. Obviously, we jinxed them when they were undefeated, but they're still doing fine. Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm really enjoying seeing them playing well at this moment. To be third, I didn't expect them to be that high. I can't remember who I picked for third place for me, but it must have been Philly.
I think it was Miami.
No, it might have been Boston. I think my top 2 were the Bucks and the Sixers. And I'm obviously wrong about that because Philly are down in 7th.
Remember the injuries for Philly though. Harden's been missing.
I'm quite shocked with as well. I'm shocked to see the Heat in 9th.
Heat are struggling at the moment. I think.
Don't know if I picked the Wizards in 10th. I think I put them further down.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see the Nets doing well because at one point they were out of the playoff bracket entirely. They've worked themselves into 6th this week because they've gone on a 4-0 win streak this week. So it's really good to see, and hopefully the, shall we call it, the shenanigans are behind the Nets and they can just get back to playing basketball. Ben Simmons has played a little bit better recently. Kyrie Irving's slotted back in offensively. And Kevin Durant just does what Kevin Durant does. So it's looking pretty good for the Nets at the moment. So this is a section where we're going to take a look at some news around the league. We've got a few topics that we thought would be good to cover today. So the first one is Kemba Walker joining the Dallas Mavericks. So this news broke a couple of days ago. Obviously, he was an unrestricted free agent. He'd been waived by the Detroit Pistons. So he's going to be coming to the Mavericks, more than likely going to facilitate an off-the-bench role. He's going to be playing kind of like the backup point guard role, orchestrating the second unit, facilitating that type of stuff. So I was quite happy to hear that we were getting him. It doesn't solve all of the Mavericks' issues, especially defensively. This won't help any of the defensive issues. But in terms of having someone off the bench as a ball handler, I think it's a good pickup for the Mavericks.
I think it is. I was excited to see where Kemba Walker did end up landing, really.
Mm-hmm.
I like Kemba Walker, and it just seems to have spiralled off for him.
Injuries.
The last time he played more than 60 games was the 18-19 season.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he got picked up by Detroit, I actually thought they would have used him.
They don't need him, though, for what they need to develop their guards.
I thought they would have used him to develop the guards, like an older player, but obviously they haven't. Do you think he'll start for Dallas?
Definitely not. I think he comes off the bench. I think the starters are still going to be Dinwiddie and Doncic. I see Kemba as a maybe...
Or do you see he rotates in with... like between both starters?
They may very well, he may get some time where he's on the court with Luka, but I see him more as an off the bench kind of like just a guy coming off the bench facilitating others, because it feels like when we go to the bench we don't have another real ball handler, and that's what Kemba is. He'll still get you a few assists, he'll still get you a few points. I think people forget that he can still, he can score. He's capable of getting his own basket. He doesn't need someone to set him up. So I think he'll be quite valuable in that asset, really.
He last averaged 11.6 points a game for New York, and he played 31 games. If he played 40 games, and averaged 12 points off the bench, would you be happy with that for Dallas?
I'd be more than happy with that, yeah, because I think if he could get somewhere kind of like that 10 to 12 points and 3 to 5 assists ratio, that'd be pretty good as an off the bench ball handler. And it just means that, again, it doesn't help defensively at all, but it maybe means that we can maybe take Luka out of the game a little bit and put Kemba and Dinwiddie together and say, give Luka a few minutes off.
He just really dropped from Boston, didn't he? Last season in Boston was 19.3, and then there was a big drop there.
It's just injuries, unfortunately. But I think we've not traded any assets away to get him. He's an unrestricted free agent. It's a deal for just the remainder of the season. I think he can be valuable.
In other news, Boston signed Al Horford to a 2-year extension, Scott. I was really happy with this, but I've just seen Al Horford's age. I'm really scared now.
He's still producing. Sorry,
no, he is. He's a solid player.
Yeah.
Al Horford. He's been a solid player throughout his career.
He's a guy who doesn't need the ball to be effective, and those type of players are hard to come by in this league. And he's still, for his age, he can still defend pretty well as well. So
he's played in 19 of 22 games this season, Scott. His points are basically the same as what they were last season. I think it's a really good, extension. That's all you can really say for it. Obviously, he's played well for the Celtics in previous years. Fingers crossed he continues to play well and we get a championship this year. What's your take on Big Al?
I think he's brilliant. He was someone a few years ago, back in the day, when he originally signed for Boston. I wanted him to come to Dallas. I thought he'd made a really good addition, because his stats aren't eye-popping. He's not grabbing you like 15 rebounds and 3 blocks a game or anything like that.
He's needed in a basketball game.
He's a really good communicator. He's really good at anchoring a team's defense and telling people where they need to go and stuff like that. And one stat that never shows up on stat sheets is when a player can force others to change the shot. When they're coming to the rim and things like that, and he just forces you to take a weird angle type of shot, and he's really good at that. And he's a good passer as a big man. He's extended his range to the 3-point line. He shoots well from the free throw line generally. Honestly, for the deal they've got him on, I think it's a brilliant deal for Boston, because you run the risk sometimes of letting go. Glue guys is the best way to phrase it. When you let them go, that's, I think, when you can start to see a team's culture changing. I think it's massive that they've been able to keep him and sign the extension. So the final little bit of news that we wanted to cover was something that I was reading about a couple of days ago, about the NBA having an in-season tournament and some of the ideas that were getting put across for this. So it still looks as though there's no definitive, yes, it's happening right now, and what the prize would be, that type of thing. But I thought it would just be something interesting to consider, because I'm not too sure. I know we don't really watch any other American sport. It's quite normal to have European sports where you have your league and then other competitions, isn't there? So you look at football, you've got Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup and Champions League and things. In the NBA, it's solely just about the league, isn't it? There's no in-season tournament. So I'm quite interested as to how this would break down, to be honest. So I'm not sure how it would work for the NBA, but at the minute it looks as though it would be the 8 teams with the best records would advance into a single elimination tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what it looks like, and it starts from October till April.
Yeah. The other 22 teams will continue the regular season. All the in-season tournament games would count as part of the 82-game schedule. The 2 teams that reach the finals will end up playing 1 extra game during the regular season. So they don't play any
more games?
So yeah, it looks as though that once you get to a certain point, the top 8 teams would go almost into their own miniature bracket. That's what I'm taking from it. In case, again, this is just something we're reading about. I'm not sure if I've fully understood it, but it looks as though that obviously you'd have a set number of teams kind of playing each other for a period of time as an in-season tournament. You have 2 finalists, and essentially you'd have someone getting a prize. But if I remember correctly, it did say that they
for anyone who doesn't watch European football, this means nothing, but Scott, to me this means UEFA Conference League.
Maybe not. I hope it's not like that. Christ,
completely pointless to me. Because the NBA has really condensed schedules anyway. Unlike a lot of other leagues, they play loads of games, and yeah, I don't see the point in it. That's not like you mix them with. You do these cups in football usually because
you're playing against other leagues, aren't you? Essentially,
other leagues, whether it's lesser than your league,
yeah,
or in another country.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the same ones again, so what you get the shiny cup now. And I think that's just the way the NBA is going, because you started to get your Larry Bird MVP, your Magic Johnson MVP, they've started naming them all. You've got your...
I don't see a problem with that, to be fair. Like a Western Conference Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
I think they were less celebrated, and now it's more about just giving a belt and an award for everything in every sport, and because it draws
get that
eyes.
man a championship.
No, but it does. It draws eyes, doesn't it? And I just don't think this adds to anything. I think the nice thing for the NBA to show halfway through is that All-Star game sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not every sports league needs to be the same.
To me, what I think would be interesting, but if we were to compare it to, like, again, like, you know, football in the UK and stuff like that, in like the FA Cup, you play lower league teams, don't you? So you can have like a Premier League team face a League One side. If you were to do a tournament here where it was NBA and G League, the NBA just because of the disparity,
it's not like football where you can get one goal or you can have an off day like that. LeBron just climb over everyone.
You'd have players having like 65 points a game, you know, in a in-season tournament. I think, you know what I would like to do, though? I would like to.
I also don't like the play-in, because I think that's another way of the NBA trying to just.
I don't agree with it.
Yeah,
I don't agree with the. I think you shouldn't have a league where over half your teams make a award towards the end of the season, which is the NBA playoffs. But sidetrack from that, what I would like to see is, once they've got the ideas proposed for it, how does it really max out? Because at the minute they still haven't decided on what the actual prize or the reward would be. So I think it's an interesting one, but something to keep our eye on. And I don't think it'll be coming in place until like 2024 anyway. But just something to keep an eye on for the NBA at the minute.
With the way the players push back as well, they have their own players association stuff. It's not like other sports where they just approve stuff and it gets rolled in.
I think it will happen if the prize is deemed worthy enough by the players. So if the prize is either, whether, to be fair, they probably don't actually need the money, so that's a bad example, but if it's a prize in which it's like a decent award that's valued, I think players could probably get on the back of it.
I think instead of adding play-ins, instead of adding other pointless cups, why not focus on making the All-Star game and weekend more competitive than what it's become? And they've done that in recent years. They've made the game itself a bit more competitive. Essentially, I think the All-Star weekend is enough of a break and enough of a change to shake things up. You don't need endless cups, to me, or playing tournament. I really don't like that playing tournament. It's stupid, because it's teams used to battle for 7th and 8th.
That's what I mean. It kind of downplays it now. It's like, I only need to finish 10th
I get
out of
the
15,
idea that you're trying to... People who are in 9th and 10th, incentivise them to play better, but you're also people higher up, you're saying, well, it doesn't matter because we can fall to 10th now. So you've not really improved anything.
I think the NBA, to me, the reason it's always appealed to me from when I very first got into basketball, unlike I know we keep using this example of, like, you know, football in the UK and stuff like that, you can dictate what's been a successful season in football through a few different metrics. If you win the FA Cup, that's seen as successful. For a team winning the League Cup and finishing top 4, it's successful. To me, the NBA, the only way you measure success, do you win the title or not? And that's why I like it, because it's one goal. Everybody should, in theory, be pressing for it. So
this as well, because your regular season games are going to count, the lesser teams are still going to have a chance.
I know.
So it doesn't matter.
I don't really know how it would work, but what I would say is I was a little bit sceptical about the format change they did to the All-Star game a few years ago, and I actually don't mind it now. So I think once they've got a clear plan in mind for the in-season tournament and what the prize would be, I think it'd be something worth revisiting. So we'll go on.
So next we're going to look at Rookie of the Week, Scott.
We've got 4 candidates that didn't quite make the cut this week, unfortunately. So we had Paolo Banchero, Benedict Mathurin, Jalen Williams, and Andrew Nembhard. Felt all 4 of these definitely had a place in terms of being candidates for Rookie of the Week. But, you know, some really good performances, particularly Andrew Nembhard. I kind of threw him on here anyway. What his stats were, he hit a game winner against the Lakers. So I was like, he deserves to be on here. That's definite. I think for Benedict Mathurin, his stats 16 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. They're actually pretty good numbers, but the team goes 1-4 and his shooting splits are down. So it's not a bad week by any means. It's just a down. That shows the level he's playing at, if that makes sense. It shows that he's a bit of a down week. So what about Paolo Banchero and Jalen Williams? Anything that stands out for yourself with them?
Just good weeks overall. I think Benedict Mathurin is the one that always stands out, really. He's just consistently in the voting for Rookie of the Week. Nice to see Paolo return.
Yeah, he's
played well
healthy
this week.
Yeah.
just sadly not translating to wins.
No,
for him. So I think that's why it can't be him. Benedict Maturin, another 1-4 this week. Yeah, so really it comes down to the one and only who we've picked, which is Keegan Murray from the Sacramento Kings.
Oh no!
The Kings have got an award, and you even agreed. This, Scott, you suggested it yourself, so it shows how well he's playing.
I'm playing 4D chess. I'm thinking in my head, if I start showing the Kings a little bit of love and give them awards, they will start losing. So this is me just, big brain and everybody. So, but no, Keegan Murray's played well.
Played 25.7 minutes a game. He's averaged 16 points, 5 rebounds, nearly an assist a game, nearly a steal a game. Is 44% from the field goal and 33% from free, 88% from the foul line. Good numbers for a rookie, and he's contributed well to their 2-1 record this week.
Backed up by the big win last night against the Clippers. Off the top of my head, I feel he may have had about 23 points in that game. I think we said that may have been arguably his best game as a rookie so far for the Kings. So as much as I like to have my fun with them, they've had a winning week. He's contributed massively. I think he makes the obvious choice for
congratulations,
for Rookie of the Week.
Keegan Murray, Rookie of the Week for Basketball Talk.
The final award that we like to give out, obviously, is the Player of the Week award. We've got 5 candidates. The 4 that came up just a little bit short. Do you want to tell us a bit more about them, Ryan?
Yeah, so we've got Kevin Durant, Jaylen Brown, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Zion Williamson. The best in terms of team records this week was Kevin Durant. The Nets went 4-0, played phenomenal. Zion was also 3-0. Given he's been injured and stuff, he's coming back recently.
This season is looking really good for him. This particular week in general, 28 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 68% from the field and 84% from the free throw line. Those numbers are eye-popping. Massively,
and then you've got Giannis with 35 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block a game, and he's 59% from his field goal, and then 75% free throw line this week.
That's really good.
Really
good for Giannis. Yeah, a massive improvement there.
Jaylen Brown had a massive week with 33 points, 8.7 rebounds, 4 assists, and he's 91 from the foul line and 33 from 3-point range. Good contenders there, Scott.
I think Kevin Durant was the one that I felt most harsh by in terms of just missing out. Anytime you're putting up 33 points on 67% from the field, 47 from 3 and 96 from the foul line, that's ridiculous efficiency, and rightly so that he should be in contention. We just felt there was one guy who outshined everybody this week, and who was that, Ryan?
Yeah, we went with Devin Booker. He's averaged 35.1 minutes a game, but how many points has he averaged, Scott?
45.3. Sweet mother of God, he is shooting the ball tremendously well.
Week, so not the best record, but without Chris Paul, I think he's massively stepped up.
3 consecutive games of 40 plus points. I think that you can't leave that going unnoticed. But also 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and his efficiency numbers 66% from the field, 57 from 3-point range, and 84 from the free throw line. The fact that he's doing all this without Chris Paul, I know he's still got Ayton and Bridges helping him, but to me that's the most impressive bit of it all, really. And Phoenix have looked really good this week, apart from that one loss, really. So congratulations to Devin Booker, the Basketball Talk Player of the Week. It may not be the only award you get this year, but I can tell you right now, it's definitely going to be the most valued one, pal.
So that's it for this week. Join us next time for some more Basketball Talk. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.